Hello dear BHUMSites, welcome to another edition of the BHUMSA elcom series. Today we're going to be having a conversation with astute leaders from among the BHUMSites hive. Today we're going to be speaking about undiscussed issues and we're going to be speaking about discussed issues. We'll be able to see the point of views of gentlemen and great ladies, and amongst these ladies are
Dote Kaju.
Robert Amos Danja.
ladies. And on my right is and
Okaje Ashley.
these people are going to be answering questions on this panel session. We're going to be able to have their points of views, and at the end of the day, on the BHUMSA group chat, please, you can share your points of views. Now, I am Otobo Daniel. To begin, BHUMSA is seen as one organization, and we have two branches basically in Cairo and in the clinicals. We've heard stories that the branch in Cairo are becoming marginalized. And how can we now achieve one government if there's a marginalized government on one end? What is your view on having a marginalized group of students in Cairo? Does it really affect us here? Is it important? And is it true that there's no marginalization in the clinicals? Please, Dr. Amos Danja, what's your view on this?
Okay, good evening everyone. Thank you very much for this rare opportunity. Okay, I remain Robert Amos Danja. Okay, I feel marginalization is actually a feeling most times because I could remember vividly during when I came in to Bingham University, I felt we were actually being marginalized those days. But at the period at the long time I realized that it was not marginalization per se, it was just a perspective that I felt okay, these people are not actually doing it rightly. So because they are not doing it rightly, and most times if we attend the BHUMSA meetings, the executives, that's the preclinical executives, most times they used to say that okay, it's about the clinical. It's the clinical people that are not actually giving them the fund and so many other things. So those things is what is actually instilling in the minds of the preclinical to think that okay, they are actually being marginalized, while truly it's not the marginalization we're actually seeing. Because okay, if the BHUMSA has the preclinical BHUMSA as an entity, it has an autonomy. It has the vice president and its respective other executives. So those executives, they are in charge of BHUMSA over there. They are responsible for the affairs of BHUMSA. Apart from being responsible to BHUMSA, they coordinate all activities. So if and then it's on their own responsibility for them to liaise with the clinical arms in order to ensure that BHUMSA works in preclinical. It's not about the president in the clinical that is going to ensure that the preclinical works. But the vice president there he has the sole responsibility to ensure that BHUMSA work over Cairo. And then in respective to the programs, you realize that when I came, I realized that most of the programs that's in Cairo, they were actually programs that there were actually less of programs there. That was then. But at the advent of time, when they actually got the autonomy, we realized that there were more programs. They were able to organize more programs, and then there was inclusiveness. Everybody was engaged in the activities of BHUMSA. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your response. Dr. Gaje Ashley, would you say that it works to the advancement of BHUMSA if there is marginalization among students, like a political party kind of system as done in Nigeria? In other words, what's your opinion on the marginalization stories that we're hearing from BHUMSA?
Personally, I don't think there's actual marginalization because I just feel the people over there in Cairo see what's going on here in Jos. Taking into consideration the fact that we are a university that's split into two. So we have our campus here in Jos and we have like the preclinical arm in Abuja. So there's some level of freedom here in Jos that allows us to go out for extracurricular activities still in the field of medicine. So I feel maybe they see it over there and then they feel like we are doing more things here than they are. Also putting the fact that there are school rules there that are very strict that restrict them from doing certain things like going out and doing the things that we normally do here. I think that's a factor. I also think distance between, like I said, they're over there and we are here. So I think the distance between our, should I say, campuses, yes, the distance between the campuses also adds to the fact that they might be feeling marginalized, because it's not easy to travel from Jos to Abuja, even if the distance isn't a lot, but it's not easy to travel from Jos to Abuja to engage medical students in like awareness programs that we carry out here. Same, likewise, it's not easy for them to come all the way to Jos. The school wouldn't even let them, if we're being honest, to come all the way to Jos to take part in like diabetes walks or all these things that we go to do in Chobe markets and the rest. So I think the idea of marginalization isn't, I don't think it's the fact that there is marginalization, it's just the restrictions. Exactly, feeling of being left out.
Thank you so much for your opinion, ma'am. Dr. Marvelous,
Yes.
do you see it as a marvelous idea that we here in the clinicals often go unopposed in government? Do you feel it is an act of oneness? And do you feel if we had like, for example, 2 people, 3 people running for presidency, this would promote division in BHUMSA? Would this be called marginalization in the clinical arm, or this is real democracy?
I think of the opinion that it will be real democracy, because whenever there are more options to pick from and there are more ideas, they challenge one another. That's the contestants. We push ourselves, but if we keep having leaders coming out unopposed, they are not pressured, they are not pushed to do more and to bring out the best in them. And it's not necessarily marginalization in politics. That's how democracy works all around the world, generally, as we see in our country, in America and other countries. So if we have a larger pool of people coming out for this post, it even means that we have people that have the association in mind and want to change things. That's one. And then secondly, the masses have a larger pool of people to choose from and to pick from, and we have different ideas and points of view. So I think it is far better when democracy is like that, when we see people come up and then there are challengers and not just come up unopposed like that.
Wonderful. Now, coming from the angle of democracy, is it democracy that BHUMSA barely has women running for executive offices like presidential offices, secretary general, financial secretary? I purposely left out the vice president office because it almost seemed as if in order to have the ladies on our side, we'll have a male as president, a female as vice president, or a female on one instance, Dr. Ele, as president and a male as vice president. Is this a blackmail? Is this a gender blackmail to carry everyone along? Or this is in bids to prevent marginalization? What is your opinion on the female president and vice president contestant like we currently have in University of Jos?
Okay, so you're saying both the president and the vice president will be female?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's a great idea. But if we're looking at it in the context, okay, BHUMSA is one organization under the Nigerian, Medical Students Association. Okay? Yes. So and then BHUMSA is also in the north central zone. And then we're looking at, I think the conversation is not just about the fact that okay, it's good and it's important to have female representatives and such. And like you said, in BHUMSA, right, they have a female president and female vice president. That's wonderful. Anyway, I'm just talking from the point of sentiment and culture and all of that, and all the interplay with the fact that we are kind of in the north. And because I have actually had a conversation with someone about this kind of issues, the fact that, well, if we have maybe a female president and then maybe they have to represent in one of these, they are within Northern Caucus. Anyway, we have all of these things. And you find out that there may be some challenges because we live in a patriarchal society, and truthfully, we have to look at BHUMSA in the context of Nigeria, in the context of our culture, in the context of all of this. So truthfully, I think it's a great idea. I think that we have women that have a lot to contribute. However, we have to think of it in realistic terms. I believe that we are a progressive society as such. So, well, so it's possible that we can evolve in that area, in that level. But as of now, here in Bingham University, okay, it's a very, very good question. I think it's a very interesting question. I don't know why. I really do not know why. Girls, I mean, why are we not contesting for president? Okay.
I also feel like it has to do with level of interest. I feel like we have seen a lot of males come out, right? And we have seen that the males have taken the position of the president,
yeah.
right? And you see, like, it's not an easy job to be the president of like a medical students association. So sometimes we ladies are, I don't know the word to use. I feel like we are okay with the fact that okay, this guy has taken over this like position. We know that this position is for the men to say. But not necessarily, there are some girls in the university still that still believe that they are capable of running for like the position of the president. The only problem is I feel it's just going to be out of place. I don't think I don't know how long while I've been here, I don't think there was I don't know of a female president of BHUMSA. I'm not sure. Please
She
correct
had
me.
graduated before you came.
Oh, okay. So, well, one female president in BHUMSA, which was I think she's good. So I'm just saying that the whole level of interest should also be there. Like you can say you want to do it, like in your heart you can say, oh okay, I think I can be the president of BHUMSA as a girl, but you have to put in that effort. You have to take that like step to actually come out and run for the presidency, like for the position.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I think that BHUMSA is to vote for a female president. So, we should begin to work towards that. However, I think it's really nice that we're having this conversation now, because if people watch it, I agree with what Ashley said about the fact that there's no interest. Guys have been coming out, girls have been vice president. Let's just do this like this. But I think we can change the narrative of the status quo. Thank you very much. And I think BHUMSA, they've shown us the way. So I think we should think.
Okay. I feel in that regard, it's really an interesting question. And then if you look at the participation in BHUMSA, especially when it comes to BHUMSA activities, not only BHUMSA activities within and outside BHUMSA in terms of nimsa and other things, you realize that I think most girls in BHUMSA are actually, what will I say, they lack those participations. It's not like they are being deprived of yes, it's not like they are being deprived of such participations, but I feel there's kind of a low self-esteem somewhere. I don't know, but I feel they don't want to just get along in terms of leadership, and then considering the fact that women feel leadership is for the men, and then most times you find out that okay, most times you see them backing out. They have this political apathy of the thing, and then as regards to issues discussed in politics, they don't want to be engaged in. And then if you look at the Nigerian system per se, it's a system whereby women are actually being deprived of political position. And that alone has actually affected a lot of girls psychologically. And that's what we are actually seeing in BHUMSA. But girls can actually change the narrative. I assure you, in my area, we had a reps who was a woman. She performed well. And then in BHUMSA, if you look at BHUMSA, you realize that the likes of them, Eli, who was the former president, who was the former president, when I was that time I was in 200. Yeah, she did well. She did well as a female. And I would like to seize the opportunity to actually encourage girls to participate in BHUMSA.
She was a star.
It's not actually a man's thing, but it's an everybody's thing. And leadership is something that we need to learn. We are actually in the process of learning, and we are all leaders. So I feel if girls and boys can actually come and participate and ensure that BHUMSA becomes pronounced, because the reason why he brought the observation was because it was actually surprising in BHUMSA the female emerging as the president. Do you understand? So girls in BHUMSA, first female president.
In the
Girls
history of BHUMSA.
yes, in the
Wow.
history of BHUMSA. And she's from Benue. So it's impressive. Do you understand? It's actually impressive. I really commend that. And sincerely, we would like to encourage the girls in the clinical rounds to actually participate. It's not about you coming to the convention or to the congress. We don't need you in the congress to come and sit down and just be an attendee of the congress. We need you to participate. Come out and speak for yourself. Come out and say, okay, I want to be the president. And then start to liaise and see how you can actually get there. Because if you don't liaise, there is no way you can get there. And you have to do the right permutations. You have to click the right buttons. So whatever a man can do, actually, women can actually do better. And I'm evidence that women can actually do better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I want people to understand that if a lady was to come out today and win, I personally am going to be torn between the fact that did she win because there's a majority of girls in the school and she's coming out as a lady and there's this whole my girl thing going on. If it was in the situation of University of Jos, I think we'd clearly know that's not the case.
Yes.
Now, if we take Ile for example, Ile was an active politician.
Yeah.
She was in NIMSA, she was in BHUMSA, and even when she was running for presidency, it wasn't surprising. Since I've been in NIMSA since 2017, and I entered NIMSA and I met Ekoja Gegede. That's the current president of BHUMSA. So you see, she has been, every time I traveled to Abuja, she was there. We traveled to Benue, she was there. We went to Shagamu, she was there. We went to Anambra, she was there. If you see BHUMSA politics, she is there. It's not an activity, it's not a problem of, hey, my girl, my girl. This is what true feminism is. Feminism is not necessarily hating men. Real feminism is also striving for the same opportunities that you see men going for. Then patriarchy, negative patriarchy is when you see a woman striving for the same opportunity and because she's a lady, you now antagonize her. If the playing ground is even, which currently it really isn't, if the playing ground is even, then they should be able to go for the same opportunity. So you have to really respect Ele, you have to really respect Gege. They defied the playing ground, and that was because opportunity met preparedness. I won't say close friends, but I'm talking terms with the first female president of the International Federation of Medical Students, Dr. Rupa. And you would see that they always leave something afterwards. After Dr. Rupa left IFMSA, she went on to create a world organization, Women for Global Health. And there's a Nigerian branch, there's an African branch, she's all over. She's currently the special assistant to Washington on global health matters. And then you see that anytime a lady leaves a leadership position, she doesn't allow the dream die. And I think those of us who knew Ele really attest to this fact. And now, so I'm saying, if for ladies to get involved in politics, they should put themselves in line of the experience, of the dust, and then they'll have the strength and wisdom. And that brings us to experience. Speaking of experience, someone once told me that if I had 30 minutes to speak and they read my portfolio, it would take 15 minutes of the time. But within us here is an astute leader in the church and others, a former president of his national association who has also gone further to create scholarships, free education, ensure better education in his state, and has even sat down with top leaders in Nigeria, Dr. Amos. With us is currently a NIMSA head and one of the forerunners of mental health in Nigeria and in BHUMSA, who tries to make us feel comfortable with our mental health challenges. And also, we also have another very, very active leader in the student fellowship who has also served on the elcom. These are experiences. And then that brings us to light to wonder, what is the importance of experience in leadership? In this current tenure of candidates running for position, I think I don't need to toot my horn, but say the fact that a lot of them are inexperienced, as most of us already know. However, they have the will and zeal to serve. Please, does will dominate over experience in in trying to choose a leader, in a leader's promise to serve, does the desired zeal to serve superimpose over experience? Dr. Ashley.
Um, Personally, I think for you to actually go into politics, right, for you to actually become a political leader or become a leader, you have to have some level of experience in politics. Not just the experience on its own, but you have to be willing to do what the position requires of you, right? So having just experience alone, I wouldn't totally say it's not viable, it doesn't hold water, right? But at least I feel you're supposed to have some level of experience in the political field to be able to fit into that position rightly, because there are some things that maybe I want to run for the president of this association now. Like, I just feel like if I'm the president of the association, I can do this, I can do that. Like, I have so many dreams and so many things that I want to do, right? But I don't have the experience. I've not been in politics for such a long time to say that, okay, when this kind of situation should come up, I will know what to do, or I will know how to handle it. Because those are the kind of things that come up. You can have the zeal to want to do something. You can have the dreams to want to accomplish something, but you don't have the experience in the political aspect. Like, politics is a different ball game. You don't have the experience in the political aspect to be able to do the things you want to do the way you're supposed to do it without hurting anybody or without being like unfair or unjust.
Alright, I'd like to add, when you talk about, okay, I'd like to ask anyway, when you talk about this experience, are you talking about experience in the office you're coming into, or experience in terms of being involved in politics? I think it would be important to clarify.
Let me clarify something. You see, if we are talking about student unionism, you understand? Student unionism is just, how would I put it? Student unionism is just a mini politics for the student. It's not a politics per se. It's not a circular kind of politics. Do you understand? So it has its own way of playing. It's not because simply because you are a student unionist, that doesn't make you a politician. Do you understand? So in this context now, we are trying to look at how these people that they're actually coming in, and most of the executives, they're actually inexperienced. You get, so they're actually coming in on board, and then most of them are actually going unopposed. Do you understand? Okay. So how can they now in that particular position now help? Do you understand?
Oh, okay. I think I understand the context that are coming in from. Well, that's why you have what they call it, predecessors also. So yeah, so predecessors are important. I think if these candidates, if they have the will, that's really important, because we've seen that political will is really what can get things done. But I think that it would be helpful if they involve the wisdom, the experience of those before them. So, well, they are unopposed, which is not democracy or ideal. However, I think it would be very wise for them to get the help they need, get the guidance. I'm sure that the people that are before them will be willing to. I personally, as a leader in my own area, not politics, I seek wisdom, I seek guidance. I don't take for granted the experiences of people that have gone before me. That's just the kind of person I am. So I think it would be wise that with their inexperience, they should use the experience of those before them to gain experience for themselves, because, well, it is what it is. They are running, so yeah.
Okay, please go ahead.
I think first of all, I want to say it's really nice being on this platform, and the elcom has really done a lot, so I truly appreciate them for their efforts. And then back to the question, I think there are a lot of things that constitute leadership. Experience is one of them. The willpower is one of them. However, I would say there are other aspects of leadership that we actually fail to pay attention to, like character, like competence, and having the people at heart and all this. Weighing the two sides, that's the side of willpower and experience. For experience, I would say most times with experience, the reason why people go for experienced people is because you can trust the outcome based on their track record. You can trust that okay, there's a minimum amount of achievement that they will strike at. And not just like in movies that will come up and you don't really know what to expect. And that's why most times, even in our setting, like in the medical field, you see a younger doctor, patients want to go to an older doctor because they believe he's more experienced. But I would say concerning experience, we should give room to people that are inexperienced per se, but have that willpower and a certain level of participation. Because you'll be shocked that people who have, if you look through history and histories of countries, presidents and all that, people who do not necessarily have that level of a political experience, but have the willpower, have the character, and are ready to learn from the experiences of those who have gone ahead, end up doing well. So all those factors they really matter. And with the pool of people that are coming now, that's the aspirants that are coming. Of course, we know it's a mixed group. There are some experienced, there are some inexperienced. But I believe if they can first of all get it right with character, because it's a very key aspect of leadership that is neglected in our time. People look at skill, people look at charisma and all that, but character is very key. And one thing I like about student associations is we have the opportunity to interact with these people one on one. We see them on a daily basis. So if you come trying to present yourself, give a persona that is not you, of course, obviously, we can see through that disguise. So my advice to people that are not necessarily experienced in this platform is to be as sincere as possible to show us what they can bring to the table, and then to follow, like she said, follow in the steps of those who have gone ahead, because it will go a long way to cover up for their own lack of experience. Yes.
Awesome. So experience on the table is a very important quality, but we should not forget character. And good character and the zeal to serve is going to also produce a very, very good leader. Then also speaking about experience, we can look at it in the light of, if you don't know where you are coming from, you may not know where you are going. So like Dr. Kajo said, we can discuss with our predecessors even before we buy the forms for the offices, while contemplating on it. Meet the predecessors in those offices. If you want to be a secretary general, meet a fellow secretary general, current or past, and ask them, how do you go about your activities? How do you mix this activity and that lifestyle? And also, speaking about asking people from coming before us, I feel Dr. Amos Danja has something to say.
Okay, when it comes to experience, okay, let me actually cite an example. The outgoing president, I don't feel when he actually came into BHUMSA, he was really giant, he was really experienced per se. But there are those virtues that actually made him distinct. Do you understand? And if you look at David Cardi in person, you realize that David Cardi has actually break so many laws of leadership. Do you understand? Apart from him, if you look at the likes of them, Donald Trump has zero experience as regards to leadership. But even though we are looking at leadership in the political aspect, we are not looking at leadership because everybody is a leader in his own niche. Do you understand? So, but if you look at this particular man, there are so many virtues, and then there are so many values. Like example, like David Cardi, I can vouch for him. When I met David Cardi, I feel David Cardi had this law of he understood the laws of leadership. Do you understand? Before even going into the position that he actually invited in, he actually understood the law of sacrifice. He understood the law of the lead, and he actually understood so many of the laws of leadership. And that's one of the things that actually made him to stand well in BHUMSA. And we could actually see the true reincarnation of BHUMSA in this present life. There was a BHUMSA that was different. Do you understand? And then there was a BHUMSA that was actually doing. We had so many participations in the nimsa. We had so many awards from nimsa. Do you understand? Simply because of David Cardi. And if it's just because of the virtues. This guy has really sacrificed a lot to ensure this thing has come to stay in BHUMSA. And then apart from that, if you look at it critically, he actually learned it when he actually came as the president, you realize that he had people that he was actually looking up to. So the likes of them Yaji, we can see clearly these are people that actually helped David Carey in order to succeed in BHUMSA. It's just worthy of recommendation, sincerely, for such wonderful sacrifice. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Just to be clear, the person worthy of recommendation is Kadi. The person of the sacrifice is Kadi. Thank you so much. Now, as we come towards the end of this beautiful panel session, as I come to the last question, I want us to know that here we've learned that it is important to be experienced. It's also important to have the will and the zeal to serve, but above all is good character. We've also been able to see that marginalization and true democracy may go hand in hand. However, true democracy promotes unity, and that there is no real marginalization in BHUMSA. Now, we've also, in respect to women in government, been able to speak about the fact that when ladies are given the microphone in BHUMSA, we should speak more of BHUMSA issues and not the chickens in the compound and not the doors that don't have handles. Yes, it is important that only one toilet is upstairs, but it's also important to realize that as a lady, you are bigger than an atom of Bingham. You can be the whole Bingham. You can be the president of BHUMSA. Now, that brings us to, what do we expect of a president? What do we expect of a SecGen? What do we expect of a BHUMSA executive? A lot of people come into leadership with a lot of lofty promises, a lot of desire to serve. Some come with pretense to serve, but let's work with those who come with desire to serve. Why do they come into office with a lot of will, zeal, and desire to serve and still achieve very little? Dr. Marvelous, please, can you start?
Okay. I think the questions are quite related in a way. People have willpower, people have the zeal, they have high hopes to achieve great things, to make impact, but they end up failing and not meeting to expectation. I think it's one thing to hope, and it's another thing to persevere through to see what you intend come to birth in that association. So it's not enough to hope. We've seen people come up and say things about what they want to do in the association and all that, but beyond hoping is good, having a vision is good, but there are other things, like we're saying, ingredients of leadership that are very important. You must be able to persevere through, you must be able to be persistent till you see that impact that you desire comes to pass. So I think that's basically my take on that.
Okay, I also like to add that it's expectation versus reality, and then we've seen all those videos, right? Yes, how that you have an expectation and then the reality of things. So, well, as leaders, you have to understand that you can only speak for yourself. You can't speak for the people that you're working with, and people change. And as a leader, you're working with a team of people. So all these factors, and then the people that you're serving have a way of making those ideas and plans you have fall through or not, come up the way you presented it. So I think, for one thing, it's good to be very realistic in all of those things. I won't say that all the leaders that make those promises actually align. Let's go for the ones that are actually speaking the truth. But I think it's also wise to be realistic in achieving some of those things. So we're still going to go back to the fact that you need to talk to those that were there before you, find out how did you do this, what were your challenges, how did you tackle it. It kind of helps you to create something that is realistic, because at the end of the day, we're all humans and it's not a perfect system.
Yeah.
I also want to add that this is students' politics. So first off, we are students. So most people present their interests to partake in these positions, right? And they know they in their minds they think they can handle it, or they know they can handle it. But we are first of all students before we are political leaders, right? So sometimes you come into power and then what you thought you could achieve or what you thought you were going to achieve, you don't exactly do it because you have battled with schoolwork and then maybe restrictions from the school authorities. That is also a factor. So I'm just saying that it's not just about you saying you want to. It's not sometimes it's not their fault per se. Let me put it that way. You're a student first, so you're going to be faced with a lot of schoolwork and then restrictions from the authorities and everything. So
Yeah. Dr. Amos, do you have something to say on this?
Okay, I feel when it comes to achievement as a leader, there are so many things, there are so many prerequisites for achievement. And then, majorly, if you look at it in our day to day activities, you realize that in leadership, especially in BHUMSA, there's this if you don't have the spirit of teamwork, because I see leadership as a skill. You are the president of an association, you don't know how to work with people, you don't know how to delegate people, you always feel you're actually the boss, you want to take responsibility, you want to do everything. It doesn't work like that because it's an opportunity. And since you're actually learning, you have to engage people, you have to learn to delegate people, and then you have to learn from past experiences. You don't just come and just start pulling strings and then while you don't understand the basis. Do you understand? So you cannot move. You can just stay there and be making unnecessary excuses instead. So you need to look up to your predecessors. Apart from looking up to your predecessors, you need to delegate functions. And then there is one of the laws that I actually like and I would like to share, the law of navigation. A leader that cannot navigate his ways, through things, then truly is not called to be a leader, because it's when you navigate ways that you can actually influence. And then if you cannot influence, you have lost it as a leader, because it's important that the people that you are leading follow you. And then if you actually lose, if you can't do all these things, then at the end of the day you realize that you are just an island. Thank you very much.
Thank you. As a leader, don't lose focus, influence. So, as we come to the end of this session, from the final conversation, we've been able to see that aspiring for an office and hoping to change is not the same thing as coping when you're in that office. And I remain Daniel Otobo, and by my right are
Okaje Ashley.
and by my left.
Dote Kajo.
Okay, I remain Robert Amos Danja. Thank you very much.
We hope that you've learned from this present BHUMSA elcom series, and we're open to questions, and please don't forget, ask them, not me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.